Now, another formative assessment na magagamit natin is ang digital journal. So, teachers here can create a journal jot online document for each student using Google Docs or a platform like Blackboard to measure how well students are retaining information, recommends, recommends Albert, an education professor in Los Angeles, California. So in their journal, students can respond individually to prompts like KWL. So alam naman siguro ninyo yan. What they know, what they want to know, and what they learned. Or 3 to 1 things you found out. 2 things you found interesting. 1 thing you didn't understand. So yan yung content sa digital journal na kanilang gagawin. And another one we also have elevator and pitches and tweets to help students synthesize important takeaways from a lesson. Ask them to take 1 to 2 minutes during live class time to summarize everything they learned on a particular unit by typing it into a Google Doc, in a chat box, or in a virtual message board like Padlet. So kung sino man dito yung nakagamit ng Padlet, so maaring mag-post si teacher doon ng picture ba or ng quote or ng question, and the students can comment down para lang din siyang Twitter at saka Facebook. You can also ask for student volunteers to share their elevator pitch or verbal summary para lang sabihin of what they learned with the class in 60 seconds or less. A 21st century spin, Matt Levinson, a principal in Seattle, Washington, suggests having students summarize the lesson in a tweet or Instagram post, staying to character limit. So, pwede siya sa Facebook, sa Instagram, sa Padlet, or any assessment platform na pwedeng makapag-post si teacher at pwedeng maka bigay ng comments si student below, elevator pitches and tweets. And the last one, we have the dipstick. Like using a dipstick to check the oil in the car, teachers can use short, quick check virtually para ma-assess ang student academically and emotionally. So, kailan ba ito ginagamit ang dipstick na assessment? Usually, at the start of a live class. So, si teacher dito ay mag-post ng general question. Example, does everyone feel comfortable with what learned about blank? And have students respond individually by either dropping an emoji, smiley ba, sad, crying, or they can have thumbs down or thumbs up in their chat box. Aside from that, they can also draw something and um, they can draw something or in a sticky note or a piece of paper and hold it in front of the screen para makita ni teacher. Yan. They don't all have to be serious questions. Not necessary na seryoso yung tanong ni teacher. Funny questions can help get students engaged at the start of the lesson. Now let's proceed to the summative assessment. According to Carnegie Mellon University, the goal of summative assessment is to evaluate student at the end of the instructional unit by comparing it against some standard or benchmark. So, unlike the formative assessment, which is an ongoing feedback or an ongoing assessment, in the summative assessment, the students will be evaluated at the end of the course or unit online. And often, the summative assessment is high stakes, which means that they have a high point value since summative assessment is the basis for grading, while formative assessment is just for feedbacking and the modification of lessons for the students to learn the lessons easily. Now, the examples of summative assessments, we have a midterm exam, a final project, a paper, and a senior recital. Now let's proceed to some of the new way of assessing the students online. kung kanina, it's all about the online formative assessment examples. Now, we will go to the online summative assessment. Inilagay ko lang dito yung mga pinaka-importante at pinakagamit talaga sa loob ng klase. Let's proceed to the first one. We have the 1, 2, 3 action. In here, you will let the students write a script and create a short play or a short movie or a song about a concept or a strategy of your choosing or their choosing. So for example of this is that students can create their own song about the environment if if the subject is all about more on draws more onto the environment. And another one for the science subjects, the students can create a song about how blue-eyed children can come from two brown-eyed parents. So they can create a song about that. For example, another example, sa Filipino, they as your final requirement, you will let the student create a short movie about the panitikan no le metangere, or they can choose el filibusterismo as their topic. Now, another famous na usually ginagamit ng karamihan ngayon, especially the vloggers, we have the podcast. So we can also integrate it in our virtual classroom, especially if we wanted to um, evaluate the students at the end of a course or unit. So in here, you will let your students create a 5 to 10-minute podcast episode about core concepts from each unit. And this is an exciting option because it can become an ongoing project. So, pwede siya individual or pwede siya by group. Specific students can be in charge of each end of chapter or unit podcast. If your students have a cumulative test towards at the end of the year or term, the podcast can even function as a study tool they created together. So, isa rin itong podcast sa pinakamagandang ibigay nating summative assessment sa ating mga students. And another one, we have the infographic. In here, you will let your students to create a detailed infographic as a final project. So this is also very effective since the students nowadays are digitally literate and how na magaling sila sa pag-i-edit. Especially ng mga graphics, magaling sila sa pagdedesenyo gamit ang iba't ibang platforms. It is an effective way for students to reinforce what they've learned, and they can cover definitions, key facts, statistics, research, how to info, graphics, and etc. Furthermore, you can even put up the most impressive infographics in your virtual classroom. Over time, you'll have an arsenal of in-depth, visually appealing infographics students can use when studying for chapter or unit tests. So that's it for the summative assessment. For more information, if you wanted to access the information that I have discussed today, these are the links. You can just search it. And that's it for today. Thank you for listening.